Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Back Podcast, Australia's favourite gaming podcast, as voted by us, the hosts of the Back Podcast. My name is Gus. It's Monday, the 11th of April, 2022, coming at you live from all our homes. And I'm joined today by a man pressing buttons in the studio, because it's not his home, it's the studio. It's Peter Burns.
Hello. Basically, it's a second home.
You live here now, that's it.
I forgot you weren't at home just as I said that. And also with Peter, it's our favourite ABC Kids host on the Citadel. It's Jem, everybody.
Hello, thank you for the Mass Effect reference opening. My main function of my personality right now is Mass Effect, so this is great.
You say right now, it's always been that ever since I've known you.
That is very true.
The first time I met you, you were in a Commander Shepard cosplay, and then you came to an interview and you showed us a video of you as Commander Shepard. And
Did I?
This is yeah. That was part of when I first met you. So that's all I see.
Wow, I forgot that. So that's good. That's good information to have. My personality defined by one video game. Hello, thank you for having me. Not
at all. It's been a long time since we've spoken to you, and it's lovely to have you here.
I've missed you guys.
How are things with you? How are things with what you're working on? What are you working on? Are you still playing Mass Effect?
I am always playing Mass Effect. I recently had to do a cull of old games to make room for new games, and Mass Effect continues to be the largest thing on my hard drive, and it's not going anywhere. But I am going well. Thank you for asking. I am the host on one of the hosts on Good Game Spawn Point. I also stream on Twitch, playing a variety of games from the spooky to the cute, and I do some YouTube videos on the side. But things are going well. We actually just launched ABC Gamer, so please check that out on YouTube.
You sure did.
I saw this.
Yes,
so this is groovy. So you guys have basically gotten back into some more grown-up gaming stuff again, which is something I tried for years, and they wouldn't let me. And they're like, you just have to. And now I've left. They're like, we should do that. And I'm like, that's totally fine. But this is great.
That was the key. Yeah, we're doing more adult content now, which is very exciting. I've had a hand in writing a few cool things. I don't know what the capacity will be in terms of presenting anything, but I'm just happy to be part of the team because it's a great group of people, a bunch of nerdy players of games, and it's very fun. I've been vastly enjoying seeing this. There you go. Oh, God, that costume.
There you
slaps.
are.
That's the bit they show us. They're like,
that's
also some serious reporting here from Jem, coming at you live as Rivet.
Thank you. I do my best work when I am decked out in a Rivet cosplay. So glad that they can acknowledge that. It's about time.
I'm personally glad it's all still going because I tune in regularly and the money seems to be constantly funneled into the costumes department, which, look, we did the same back in the day. You're in the same shirt.
Hey!
Look at that.
Amazing.
They share a wardrobe. I like that.
I'll point out as well that most of our audience will already be subscribed because ABC Gamer is the Good Game channel's rebranded.
That is true.
Yeah, that is true.
And GGSP is slowly finding its new home, I think. Either on that channel or will be finding its own one soon. But nice. Yeah, it has been so fun to see it kind of formulate and come together, and I'm so excited that it's finally here and we can actually talk about it.
Totally. Well, that's a bit of news, but it's not actually the news because we should actually kick off with the news because, Peter, the news isn't going to break itself.
What?
The Backup is presented by one of our top stitch patrons. It's the best evil person we know, the Harbinger. Another reference to Mass Effect. Is that doing it for you, Jem? That's working?
Hey, okay, I will say, this wasn't just me pitching that. Pete also pitched that. So
I said Saren.
I just forgot who the big bad was. You said Saren. I said big pharma.
But you were so proud when you said Harbinger. You were like, I did it.
That's true. He remembered. It is not, of course, the Harbinger. I mean, Evil Spyboy. Get your exclamation mark Spyboys out in the chat because thanks to his generous patron support, Evil Spyboy is bringing you the backup. He's hoping that you bring the generosity to Food Bank Australia. Food Bank provides regular breakfast to more than 132,000 students at schools around the country. And on top of this, more than 200,000 children seek food relief from their charities every month. So donate at foodbank.org.au. Nightbot, do your thing. Head to tasteofmultifish.com for more info on, I think Nick likes to say, his proclivities. I'm yet to bother looking up what proclivities means, but my God, it is fun to say in the morning.
It's it's just a certain taste or things that you favor. Your proclivities are things.
Is it eccentric things fancy about way of saying it's your kink? Yeah, that's my proclivity.
It sounds like it's a sexy word. I don't know. It's a sexy word.
There's enough syllables for it to really. It's like when Frankenfurter says anticipation.
Oh, God.
Like, oh yeah.
It's too early. It is too early for this, man.
It's too early to bring an ABC Kids host on the show and start talking about proclivities. So we should instead move on with the news and the backup. And let's start with the biggest stories of the week as voted by us, the host of the backup, where we look at the biggest stories of the week. God, Nick writes this in a confusing roundabout way to read. Jem, you're our guest. Can you please start us off with what you made you back up and say, hey, that's a pretty big story to me, Jem?
That's exactly what I said when I read it. So thank you for getting the cadence of my voice so perfect. What caught my eye is that we recently were told at the latest State of Unreal that there would be a new Tomb Raider in the works. When will we get it? No idea. Could be tomorrow, could be 3 years from now. We have no clue. All we know is
tomorrow launch would be mind-blowing that they doing it at this and instead left it a couple of days. But yes, I
have always thought, like, the amount of guts it takes to be like, here's the game. Now here's the game. It's right here. We're not telling you when and where. It's just dropping. Have fun.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's the way to do it. But yeah, we have no idea when it's coming out. All we do know is that it will be joining the likes of the new Witcher game and Hellblade 2 being made on the Unreal 5 engine, which is very exciting. And if I have to read the phrase, push the envelope of fidelity again, I'm going to cry. I have seen it. It's what he said, and I know it's what he said. That's why everyone's reporting it. But I've read it so many times, and I still don't entirely understand what it means. Like, I know.
Don't know what's in the envelope.
Why are we pushing envelopes around?
I know.
I don't get your. Is it an idiom? Is it an idiom?
It is an idiom.
The etymology of that must come from something to do with, like, if you push. I've never looked that up, but that's
why would you push an envelope?
Does it mean like to slide it across a table? And
I think it is to be
Unreal
like
5?
Yeah. That's exactly how the originators of that phrase.
Don't open this now.
Set it up.
It's for a little later. That's
Unreal
the kind
5?
of envelope push I'm getting.
New Tomb Raider?
Yeah, this is big news, and the Unreal 5 stuff as well. Considering that, and correct me if I'm wrong here. This is to do with the fact that within our lives, Unreal 5 is now, I think, free to develop on, or like free, or it's been opened.
Epic have
more liberally.
For a long time have made their engine available for use, and it's basically like incentivizes using it on plans that they will take a certain cut of any income made over a threshold. So independent developers have incentive to jump in because they can play around with this thing, and if it doesn't sell more than, I can't remember what it was, $30,000 US, $60,000 US or something, they keep all of it. And then as they kind of tick over into higher sales, like thresholds, Epic start to take a cut. And it seems to have been a pretty good system. I think they started that with Unreal 3. The tail end of Unreal 3 when they released their kind of dev tools as a public thing as well. So,
but of course, this is big franchise, big game. I don't think this was going to be made on this engine regardless, and will look good and new and shiny. Jem,
would you say it would push the envelope of fidelity?
I was just about
Microtext
to say that.
has brought in the facts. So pushing the envelope comes from the aeronautical use of envelope, referring to the performance limits that cannot be exceeded safely. So if you're pushing the envelope, you're right on the edge of safety. But that's
we know.
I still like I still prefer the idea that it's a bunch of mysterious lads across the table pushing envelopes back and forth with like coded messages.
I think you're probably right, Jim. Like it's still got to come from somewhere, and that's going to.
But that is the etymology.
Don't try and bombard me with your facts. I have created a fan fiction here.
The envelope is what they defined the edge of safety. They've just used the word differently.
Why is it an envelope? Why is it in the envelope?
Why isn't it push the paper?
I don't think it's something you send mail in. I think we're getting caught up on that.
We are being
English is a very flexible language.
Asking why all the time to every question.
But you're right. Why wasn't it a paper plane?
That's what it should have been. They should have folded that. Anyway, Jem, you are a fan of Tomb Raider. I assume you played at least a couple of the last ones. What do you think they've got in store? What could they do with the franchise to make it interesting for you again?
Well, I kind of wasn't super into the origins of Tomb Raider. I got into it in 2013 with the reboot, as I think a lot of people did. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Rise the Tomb Raider. I didn't play Shadow, though, because that was taken over from Crystal Dynamics to a different studio, I believe. So I didn't play much of that, but I did hear it was a much darker Lara Croft, which is exciting.
Well, yeah, that's also the one I skipped on, and I think a lot of people did because it didn't get rave reviews. It kind of felt a bit stretched as a formula. There was a lot of that open world stuff, whereas, like, I'm with you. The first, is it
Rise of
Tomb Raider?
Just
Was it
Tomb Raider.
called Tomb
Yeah.
Raider?
Yeah, right.
That was
The
it. It was the
reboot Tomb
classic
Raider.
reboot
Yeah.
title.
That is like one of my favorite games of all time.
So
the way
good.
that sort of used that island and everything in it. It was fan-bloody-tastic. And
Yeah.
then I don't remember playing the second, but I watched a Let's Play of Rise of the Tomb Raider recently. It was like, I've played this game entirely and forgotten it. I think,
Yeah.
Peter, we went through this like a couple of months ago. I pointed this out to you. You were like, I have also finished this game too and don't remember it and think you got it muddled up with the first one.
I don't remember having
They're
a
all
conversation
blending
with
together.
you. I remember the first
There you
one
go.
distinctly, so I don't think I would confuse something from the second one into it. I didn't really play the second one, and I definitely didn't play the third one. I only played the one
definitely-
that ends with the, like, you get your 2 pistols as you go up and fight some lightning goddess.
That was the first
Yeah.
one. I think she has that moment.
Yes.
It had that Indiana Jones thing with just like a sprinkling of the mysterious, kind of like, well, of course, it's very similar to what Uncharted have done recently, and we're not seeing an Uncharted game for a while. So this could be, the perfect way to go back to the original.
Well, that's actually interesting that you say that. There has been talk of it possibly being a reboot of the 1996 Tomb Raider, kind of bringing her origins and the new trilogy, or the new series together. And nothing's been confirmed. Again, like I said, we have got nothing. There's no release date, no gameplay, no screenshots, no nothing. But the Tomb Raider Twitter did change their banner recently to a reimagined artwork from the original Tomb Raider. And that led people to be like, maybe it's going to be a reboot, because there was talk. Crystal Dynamics did mention that they were thinking of doing something like that, but they weren't ready to commit to it. But that was like last year, I think they said that. So there has been talk of it possibly being reimagined. I hope it isn't, honestly. I don't really want another reboot.
What if they're
I would like
rebooting the
something new.
2013 one?
A reboot to the reboot?
Yeah.
It's even
Oh, wow.
grittier and gorier than you could
She
imagine.
finds herself in some kind of Groundhog Day situation where she's stuck on that island because it's like, oh, I'm stuck in a perpetual reboot.
Give
I
me
don't know, it's been long enough since that. Did you say 2006 or no? 1996.
1996 was the original, I
Yeah,
believe. Yeah.
I feel like going back there, they've changed up so much about how these games play and what they are. I think going back and retelling that old clunky story would be really fun with this level of polish and this level of stuff. And like, I'm all for Snooty Lara again. Like, she's too real now. She's too gritty. She's deep in too much real stuff. I want to go back to the one where I think it was voice acted, like it was a CD-ROM, and she was like super, super British, and you start in the mansion, and you just went on these adventures with no context, and you're like, why am I on the Great Wall of China? And I'm just like, I don't care. Is this a demo? I think I only had the demo. It's like, that's the level of disconnect I want in the story instead of these like sprawling sagas now. So,
Give me the Ace Attorney crossover where we put Lara Croft, Nathan Drake, and Indiana Jones on trial for their crimes against humanity. At least we both know that
their crimes against historical artifacts.
they don't belong in museums. They belong where they were. Stop destroying natural wilderness. But also,
These were cultures.
can we remember that Lara Croft at this stage has a kill count in the thousands at least?
Oh, yeah.
She's a mass murderer at this point.
Yeah.
She can't go home. She's always on another adventure because she can't go back to where she's
She's
That was definitely
wanted
the
in
biggest
50
talking
states.
point.
play a level, she gets arrested.
Yeah. That's definitely the biggest talking point about the reboot, the 2013 reboot, of like the trauma that she goes through on that first kill and then proceeds to
Cauterizing her
slaughter
own
a
wounds
whole like
and
village.
Oh no, it's like it's that she kills a person and lies there and goes like and
She's
like
crying
breathes
and-
heavily, which is and then I think the next
Can't
kill
watch
you
the
get is
blood
a
off
classic
and then-
is a red barrel kill or something, and you're like,
and
oh,
suddenly you're a video
Well,
game.
I guess we're over it now. It's fine.
And-
it's like you get it out of the way. You're good for the rest of the game.
Is Rihanna Pratchett confirmed for the next release, or
She hasn't confirmed anything. Rihanna Pratchett, for those who don't know, was the lead writer on 2013 Tomb Raider and also Rise, but she wasn't involved in Shadow. But she has said, when asked what she would like to see, which I guess implies she's not coming back onto it, she wanted to see a more fleshed out Tomb Raider with that more sarcastic edge that kind of does fit in, Gus, with what you were saying about kind of bringing back that sass and that kind of
confidence,
rich girl,
I guess,
that confidence, rich girl charm kind of thing. She wanted to see a bit more of that, a bit less of the kind of bound by her past and the stuff with her father, and kind of seeing Lara Croft really come into her own in a more, less kind of like this idea that to have character development, you have to suffer greatly. I don't think really, yeah.
It feels like Lara Croft is the equivalent of what Daniel Craig did to Bond, what Christian Bale did to Batman. Maybe not Batman, but it's like gritty and real. Worked for a long time, and like in the video game space, I think it worked so well for Tomb Raider because it's like these settings were very unhospitable, and she goes through literally like the torturous deaths in the 2016 or 13 one was amazing.
So
it's
much.
like, and they did that so well. It's like you can't keep drawing from that well. You can't keep going like it needs to be grittier. She needs to be more like
because the world gets darker and darker, and we all get sadder and sadder. We're ready for Austin Powers Tomb Raider.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Please give me this crossover. I want to see 1996 Austin Powers meets Tomb Raider meets Ace Attorney.
Does he pick something up and go, shag a relic, baby?
Lovely.
Please let that be the tagline.
Lovely.
Gus, I think you've just secured yourself a spot on the
writing team.
The writing team. Goose for new Tomb Raider. Hashtag Goose for new Tomb Raider.
Pratchett, I've got your job now. I'm going to write a sexist main male character in your game.
No,
Don't
please.
think that's going to happen.
But that actually is one thing I just thought of there. Like, it's a really good point you bring up, though. Like, this digging into this well of just making things gorier and gorier. I think it is very, and it's not exclusive to female-led games, but I think it is almost. I think it's more prevalent in a female-driven game that they have to suffer these horrific things to be seen as like worthwhile of their title, almost. Like, I don't really see Lara getting as much of that, and not to compare to Nathan Drake because that's like an age-old thing at this point. Getting to have that sarcasm and that wit to her, that kind of lightly sardonic but socially acceptable.
Yep.
We don't really have that with her, and I would like to see a bit more of that.
It would totally give her more, I think, strength as a character in the sense that the reason we love both these characters for different reasons.
Yeah,
one of the reasons that Nathan Drake works so well is because having that wit, having those quips, having that kind of brush off attitude gives him extra kind of prowess in his domain of being like an action hero. Whereas for Lara, like the equivalent, Nathan Drake goes, no, and then grabs a building and kind of survives. Lara Croft got speared in the gut while she fell down a river, and it's like, it does carry with an extra element of like, no, she's stronger than that, and I want to make her stronger than that. So I think, giving her some of that extra attitude doesn't just come off as being like a popcorny kind of like, I don't think it would take away at this stage because she's done the groundwork.
She has suffered. She has the scars to prove it.
you literally could just watch montages of her dying in that first game and be like, I think she's seen enough. She needs a safe space now. Let's give her some quips.
You know what? I have the new game, Lara in Therapy. Get Lara Croft into therapy.
I think just Lara in self-care. It's just her with a weighted blanket in that mansion, and the butler is like, Madame, there's a relic.
More chamomile?
Like, nah.
No. Nope.
Please.
She's got all like her frappuccinos, all her favorite comfort movies. She's watching Austin Powers.
Yeah.
We're going to take bits from each of our ideas here.
Like, remember when we used to have fun in our media?
Good, I love it. Well, there we go. We now have the announcement of a new Tomb Raider, and we fully fleshed it out here on the back podcast. So thank you for that. Peter, let's move on with some news, some award-winning news. I'm going to put the expectation on you.
Yeah, well, awards were won at the BAFTA Game Awards. That's for damn sure. And I mean, there's not really any news around it. I'm just going to go through the list, and we can say whether we agree or disagree. We can be the tribunal.
These were on the weekend?
Yeah. Or
late last week,
end of last week, yeah. And I mean, obviously, a bunch of wonderful games took away awards, including a few Aussies. So that was exciting to see Twitter going off in celebration of the Australian games that won. But I'm just going to go through the list, and I want you guys to react. Okay.
Get the reaction faces going.
Yeah.
Peak
Best
YouTuber,
game.
let's go.
Returnal.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool, I guess.
Reckon a game that deserved a lot more credit than it might have got, but whether that credit is best game, I'm not entirely sure.
Look, I'll be honest. I played about 5 hours of it and was like, yeah, I can't do this. This isn't my game.
Yeah.
And I turned it off and walked away.
I was like, not the best.
Look, good on them.
It didn't win worst game,
That's
though,
true.
so good.
The bar...
Somewhere in the middle. Middleist game. Great game.
Pleasantly
Best
average.
game is a surprise to me. Best British game was Forza Horizon 5.
I love
Turn
that as a
10.
category.
Yeah, well, it's the
Specifically British
BAFTAs,
game.
mate. It's the BAFTAs.
It's the
It's your
BAFTAs, mate.
BAFTAs. You got
I
to
love
give it
that
to the
last year.
British.
Here's the question:
Yes, go.
did it win last year as well? Because they've been running video game awards for quite a few years now, as they've slowly branched out into more categories.
You mean did
And
Forza
obviously-
Horizon 5 win 2 years in a row?
No, did Forza Horizon 4 win?
But wasn't
Because
that
it was
2 years
set
ago?
in-
But whatever, I get
Time
your
is
meaning.
an
Yes, I'm sure it
illusion.
did. I'm sure it did. Performer in a leading role, Jane Perry as Celine Vassus in Returnal. I think she did a pretty good job, but
She did a great
it wasn't
role,
such it wasn't such a narrative game, so she did a good
just
job.
really
of being-
highlight her. I guess it's kind of like. Oh no, I guess that's kind of different. Lady, I was thinking like Lady Dimitrescu. Like she wasn't really even in it that much, and still managed
enough,
to get.
in my opinion.
Oh, not nearly. Give me more. I want a game solely about her. Actually, there we go.
Agreed.
But can I just take a moment because someone's calling it "Man, that dress Vesuvius." I love that video games are at this point where there's a BAFTA award show, and like
So
with all the
cool.
bells and whistles,
All the glitz and
all the
glamour.
glitz
Yeah.
and glam, and
It's not like a bunch of people in like the skinny jeans and the one graphic tee and kind of like the sketchy
Yeah,
con.
and
It's
the-
now we're
the suit
getting
jacket.
dressed.
yeah, it's
gotta
not
have
at the
suit
dome
jacket.
at Homebush at an EB Games Expo. It's
Oh, the good
a
old
real
days.
thing. Best
I
performer
love it.
in
I think
a
it's great.
best performer in a supporting role was Kimberly Brooks for
Yes.
Psychonauts 2. She was Hollis Forsyth. I didn't finish Psychonauts 2, but I enjoyed all of the performances in that game. It was very strong.
Kimberly Brooks is such a talented actress, and it's so cool to see her like getting that recognition.
Do you know what else has she done, or is there anything else we
She
know?
showing my personality trait here. She was Ashley Williams in Mass Effect. So she was one of your human companions in the
Perfectly
first
hateable.
game that could have she could have survived, or she could not have to survive for drinks on the Citadel in Mass Effect.
She
3.
was like one of the standard human ones in the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
yeah, it was
is it?
Caden and Ashley.
Oh, cool.
She would have been
was
a Trump
the-
voter.
yeah. Look, in Mass Effect 1, she definitely would have been.
Yeah.
That definitely.
She came
Ash
around by
was definitely voting
two. She
for
came
Trump.
around by 2 if you kept it going.
Yeah.
Game of the Year, public, voted by public, was Unpacking. Homegrown Unpacking won Game of the Year. It also won Best Narrative from the BAFTAs. Sorry, Public Game of the Year. And Best Narrative. Beautiful.
So well deserved.
That's
So
wonderful that that a game can win for best narrative that is so I don't want to say cryptic, I don't even want to say obtuse. It's like the narrative is there and it's everyone gets it, but it isn't rammed down your throat. It's not exposition, it's not overwritten. It is quite literally
It is not written.
no words.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is not written. And for that to win best narrative, I think is a wonderful sort of
Yeah, I think like
feel like-
even if it didn't have the best, most innovative story or plot, the way that it told its story was very innovative and
Which
very
is-
well executed.
feels- Which feels the most relevant for a video game award based on narrative because that's the way you experience it. Whereas, like in a film, the writing, a well-written, fleshed-out story helps win best narrative because that's pretty much how you're experiencing it. You're hearing dialogue, and it's all about writing. Yes, there's story in negative space but I think for a game, it's like that epitomizes that the narrative is transferred across to you by just experiencing it in its medium as a video game. So that's a lovely way for them to, I feel, give it credit and also do games justice for what they do differently in storytelling, which is...
And kind of attaching to that, Goose, is kind of like, I remember talking about it with a few friends of mine, and even though we kind of all got the story beats, kind of what was happening, the way that we each interpreted how those events transpired, and kind of the way, I always had my plushies lined up on the bed because that's how I operate in my house. And my friends had their books stacked neatly and there was order and this kind of chaos. We each experienced it in a very different way, even though it was the same, essentially the same story. I think that's really indicative of a well-told story without words because you can kind of attribute meaning to it from what you take from your own experiences. I think that's really profound for a game that yet has no dialogue in it, is told exclusively through objects, and takes one of the most stressful activities and makes it into a charming little story about finding love.
And Miss Silver points out, wasn't this a point of argument in the 2021 BP award videos? It certainly was.
Definitely was.
But only because Nick was anti it for some reason. But he's not here.
And those videos, if we all got along, those videos wouldn't be anywhere near entertaining. Let's be honest.
Nick's purpose
That's why he
is to
wasn't
be
invited
the chaotic, the chaotic no man to it.
Stirrer of
So
shit.
best evolving game, No Man's Sky.
I wasn't going to say it. But
Sorry.
yeah.
Best evolving game, No Man's Sky. Still winning awards all these years later.
Fabulous.
And good on them. They do make really innovative content for their game. It's always something really different.
And Peter, by definition, the universe itself is always expanding and expanding.
It sure is.
Make it profound. Make it profound.
Make it profound.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it back around to profound. It Takes Two took original property and multiplayer. Best original property, best multiplayer. Which I think deserves both of those.
I feel like maybe I'm in the minority on this one, that I really did not like It Takes Two. I found it
Who'd you play it
so...
Yeah.
I just found it
There
like
it
a
is.
really kind of weirdly mean-spirited game in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
A lot of I think there was a point of like I think that a lot of people either went one way or the other on how that story
Yeah.
was told, and like that we all discussed by the end of it the actual narrative itself of what was going on with the character motivations, namely the parents. It's like it's very at odds with the kind of emotion it's trying to draw from you, and it's like I think as a game it's almost perfect, but there was some stuff in there that everyone like you. It's interesting to have.
Certainly
that
wasn't
reaction,
best
be like,
narrative, and that's why I didn't win best narrative.
I was like, God, maybe you guys just stay as toys. I think you might be better off at the moment. This is y'all are weird.
That's
Why
the
are you
sequel.
gonna hurt
They're
the
like, we
elephant?
suck as humans. We're going back to toys.
Oh, I love that. You know, I think there was just some quirky humor in it that didn't land for some people, and I totally get
Yeah.
that. Because
Maybe
it was
that's
definitely
just
it definitely wasn't like a cohesive thought. It was like, what do we want to do right now? And that's what they did, which I love. I
Still
love
never
it.
got past the idea that the child would walk into the room and the parents were standing there with their eyes like going, like rolled back in their head, and then she's
Yeah.
like, "Talk to me," and like they can't.
are
They're in
you-
a fugue state while they're currently alive but in
Mommy?
toys. Like that messed me
Yeah, it
up.
was full on.
the next game will be about her in her mandated
Therapy.
therapy session with the toys that they give you to like play with as children while you're trying to like get into like what happened with your parents that made you this way.
But they are alive.
Oh, we've almost
But
got up
they
to
are
the video. Debut game was Toem, which I believe was that photography thing.
Yes, gorgeous,
Very,
so good.
very sweet game. Game Beyond Entertainment, Before Your Eyes. Best video game experience of last year, in my opinion.
Go.
Did you play Before Your Eyes, Jem?
Which one was Before Your Eyes?
Download
Me
Before Your
showing
Eyes.
my-
It's a 2-hour
hang on.
experience. Play it by
Wait,
yourself.
no, was that the blinking game?
Yeah, it was a blinking game.
Yes.
I streamed that, and let me tell you, oh my, it got snotty. It got
Good.
snotty.
Please
There
send us
was-
links
Oh, I wanna
to
see
find
that.
that video. I'd love to watch that.
That was brutal. I gave my entire chat like oh man, we were all traumatized. So sad.
I like that you started with snot. There was snot.
There was snot. It got messy, man. It was
Fair
that
enough.
is completely fair. I think I'd like repressed it deep in my mind.
Yeah.
Stashed away my mind palace in a folder called "Do Not Open."
It's so powerful. Powerful enough to need to stash it away somewhere deep.
Yeah.
Best family game. We're seeing right here. Chicory, A Colourful Tale. Best animation, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart.
Yes.
Game design, Inscription.
Yeah. Beautifully, like,
Absolutely.
incredibly technical, and there's so much stuff in there being developed by a very small team, if not one, wasn't it? I think in the end.
Yeah. I think so.
yeah, I
I think
believe-
it was a small team at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those one-person games where there was some assistance from some other parts, but definitely in the publishing. Artistic achievement, The Artful Escape.
Beautiful.
Oh, yes. Another Aussie.
Another Aussie.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
So
someone pointed out
pretentious, but like in a fun way.
basically everyone we interviewed on Back Pocket last year won an award. So
Unpacking.
unpacking,
Is that the
Artful
key then? Being on Back Pocket gets you awards?
absolutely.
I
There were
think you cracked the
nominations
code.
for The Forgotten City, but no wins, unfortunately. But still made it to this
Should have
show.
been on more episodes of Back Pocket.
Yep.
Got a nom.
Technical achievement, Ratchet and Clank. I mean, it was pretty,
Beautiful.
but what did they technically achieve? They just made a standard platformer.
It's not technically what did they achieve?
What do you-
It's a
That's not
standard
the award.
platformer.
Hey,
There was
It,
a lot
there-
of-
it was
there's
not
lot
a
of code
special
getting
game.
crunched
Do you
into
remember the
that
game?
It was, I do.
yeah.
It was totally fun.
I played it in one go.
Holy
That's
shit.
how hooked I. Yeah, I got the
Was it like
code
a
and I
15-hour
sat
game?
down. Yes. Then I sat down and then I went into a fugue state and I woke up 15 hours later crying and being like, wow, I'm so into like this game. This is great.
You were one of the parents from It Takes Two, yeah.
I did. Oh no, I've become what I hated.
Ratchet and Clank, and then you played that other game just to get some blinking in. You were like, oh,
that was it. That was exactly my process of events.
And Returnal walked away with a couple of other awards. It got audio achievement and music as well. So
I definitely give it for audio. It had some crazy cool
really
sound
cool
design, like the aliens, the weapons, the world. Music-wise, I can't even remember if it had a tune. It sounded like the whole game was like the low droning of a spaceship. I have
Maybe that's meant to be the idea.
I'm going to jump back into that game ever since they've got an update for it that dropped, I think, last week or something that has like a wave mode and has, I think, maybe some more resume features. Anyway, great game and very award-winning and award-deserving, I should say.
Absolutely.
Good job getting awards.
Good job.
So those were the BAFTAs, they were.
Right-o.
Moving on no. I'm having flashbacks to doing that Forza review with you, Goose.
Oh, no.
That's right. No, you were Chav and I was Posh. So,
that's right. Yeah. No, that's right. I was Chav Gem.
So those are the BAFTAs. And rounding out the news, just a small story from me is that Ubisoft announced that Rainbow Six Siege is getting a mobile version. This was announced late last week. It's been in the works for a while now, but there is now going to be a mobile version of the full first-person tactical multiplayer shooter coming to mobile, iOS, and Android from a smaller team. But it is being touted as a one-to-one experience of what is arguably a very technical shooter with a lot of controls, with a lot of fiddly bits, and straight away I'm excited that it's one of my favorite games. It's one of my favorite series, I should say, and Siege is proving to last the test of time currently, and now moving on to mobile. It must be, it's an investment that this formula that they've landed on with Siege is going to be here for a while. But I like a lot of other multiplayer shooters that have moved on to mobile. We've had COD Warzone. That's like earning them a lot of money, I think. And there's PUBG Mobile. Apex recently got announced as well. So a lot of competitive, intense shooters are finding their way to mobile. I am excited to play this, but I'm not entirely sure who the core audience they're going for.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious, would you guys want to play this on mobile?
I have giant thumbs. And what those games have in common, you mentioned, is that I haven't played any of them on mobile because I can't see myself. I don't understand how you would play such kind of. I guess the idea would be then they'd change the control scheme to make it more compatible.
Yeah.
But why would I play it on my phone when I have a perfectly good TV that I could play it on? Like, why limit myself to this?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't. Like a lot of
precisely.
A lot of like high school and university students would dabble with this, but I don't think it would really. These things don't particularly take off in Western markets, but China's market for mobile gaming is just massive. It's the reason why PUBG and Fortnite are on mobile in the first place. They're very successful in that market, and that's what this is trying to tap into. I don't think a game like this is going to. Even League of Legends is on mobile over there. I think it is here as well, but again, no one's playing games on mobile phones here. Or serious, quote unquote, serious games. It's more for games that feel like they're designed for phones.
I guess that's it. Like, I often have that thing of being like, who is playing this? Who's it designed for? And I'd be like, it's designed for money. That's why. It's not designed for people.
We're not quite sure yet currently what the if it's a free to play, but most likely it will be. They've announced that there's a small pool of operators to pick from. I think you've got they've announced maybe 6 attackers, 6 defenders, but the roster at the moment on Siege is massive. Like it's up to I don't know, over 25, 30 characters. So there's room there to expand. All the outfits we saw both in this trailer and if you look up any of the announcement news, they're all they're getting very dressed up now, more and more, more sort of theatrical about the character costumes.
Dapper gentleman.
Yeah, they've all got like little colored berets and all this kind of stuff. So I'm sure there's a huge market to tap in there with cosmetics, which is often how, a lot of these games do so well. And then whether or not they expand that in terms of ways to play and attachments for weapons and stuff. Currently, there's just, I think there's only been about 3 or 4 of the maps announced, like Bank and the Hideout, I think it's called, or the Biker Bar. But it is going for a one-for-one experience. Like, I think gameplay-wise, Jem, you mentioned the controls. It's like they've said they've adapted the HUD and the controls for a mobile screen.
Yeah.
I assume, like a lot of these, I always wonder what the ratio of people plugging in third-party controllers.
That's
those,
what I was thinking as well. Like, but then does that not then take away the idea of portability by attaching
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think people who are like playing, like Pete said, people who play these
true.
things are like happy to either set up a rig that they either whip out at home or on the train or something, or they just get really sweaty with thumbs and know what they're doing. Because there are some people who are probably learning the skill sets that I don't have anymore because I'm trained to hold a controller.
Yeah, that's true.
So that there is, I think, sort of adjustments being made. The only other one to mention is that they've said the matches themselves will be shorter because currently when you've got like attack and defend in Siege, they're, I think, 5 rounds that can go on, like you can get to a bit of a stalemate and it can go on for a while. So they've reduced the amount of rounds for that mode. And then I assume that'll be similar for other modes like hostage escorts and all that kind of stuff. So at the moment the trailer's cool. Good music in that trailer. Go have a listen. There's a cool remix of like,
I do love a good trailer sounds.
it's like a remake, a reboot of Beethoven or Bach or something. I liked it. I thought it was great.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'd be like, it's just not for me. It's just not my kind of thing. And that's, someone's going to be into it. Otherwise they wouldn't keep making it.
Yeah. Don't you all have phones?
You all have phones.
I have phones and giant thumbs.
It's like that evolution thing where like the new generation will have tinier and tinier thumbs that don't sweat just specifically on those. So just made for that.
Oh,
So
terrifying.
there is a closed alpha that's coming soon that you can register on the website. They haven't announced the exact date of that at this point. And also they haven't announced any news about Terrorist Hunt, my favorite mode against the AI in Rainbow Six Siege. It's a wave mode. Put it in the mobile ones, you cowards. It's a great way to play the game with your friends. So I don't know if that's the market. So I don't know if that's ever going to turn up. But
it's the anti-Gus market specifically that they're catering towards now.
Oh,
they know you want it. I'm not going to give it to you.
Damn that anti-government. All right, and rounding out the news for this week, a couple of announcements and delays, and we got a couple of announcements last night that there is a new Kingdom Hearts game on the way, Kingdom Hearts 4. This was at the 20th anniversary. There is a
couple of new Kingdom Hearts games.
Well, I was going to say, first of all, starting with 4, which was the main one in the franchise, what we're seeing here is a mixture of, I think, is it Kingdom Hearts Missing Link is a mobile version?
I believe so, but I will say I just don't care. so probably.
I was going to say, I don't think this is. I'm not sure if this is Missing Link, and I
think it is.
I had to study the timeline for something or other, another podcast, and I should know this, but I don't because it's buried in that same folder before your eyes that's labeled "Do Not Open." There is too much in this. There is too much in here.
Look, anyone who really cares about this franchise knows there's something wrong with how they appreciate games. And Avexia, I'm talking to you. I saw your tweet last night. And yeah, this is a few new games in the series coming out. One for mobile. This other one, which looks like a slightly, I don't know, is this like remake 2.8 Love and something game? But then there is the Kingdom Hearts 4, which if we scrub a little further forward, does look like very polished. This is obviously, you see a big cutscene that rolls into some gameplay that kind of looks pre-rendered, I'll be perfectly honest.
Oh, definitely.
It's getting to a weird point, guys, where these stylized characters are starting to be Uncanny Valley, but like in a even extra messed up way.
Well, the weirdest part about it is that everything's real and then these people look like cartoons. So they've gone for such a realistic city here and then they've got weebs. And
well, I'm not sure if this is a story thing. You're right.
Yeah.
They're weebs that are running around in what looks like a fully functioning human, normal sized people universe.
It's like those shots in like every anime where you like guess the protagonist and it's like a very normal background and then one dude like red spiky hair and like armor that could poke your eye out.
Even this monster has a hairdo. Like once he's got like the Danny what's his surname in Greece?
Danny
something.
I was going to say Danny Phantom, but that's a cartoon.
Look at his hairdo.
I'm sorry.
Danny Rojas?
No, Danny Rojas.
Danny
Zuko. Thank you, chat.
Danny Zuko.
Less chat. Zuko.
And I think we're seeing, is this the Harbinger we're seeing here? Doing all this damage?
Specifically, we're getting the crossover no one asked for, Kingdom Hearts v Mass Effect. Get ready, guys. Dropping soon.
I loved all the conflict, the contrast we're seeing, as you said, with the real world here. We're just watching the trailer for anyone listening to the podcast that is very, as I said, very shiny. But everyone in the real world is running like a normal human away from this catastrophe. And suddenly this one is doing that like anime run where they're like,
I'm the
and you're like, what is going? Everything just looks weird. So yeah, this will be, I'm sure, something a lot of fans of the series are looking forward to. But I don't think I'm safe to say none of us here are particularly fans of the franchise.
Yeah, I just don't care. I don't care.
I cannot. I tried with 3. I cannot play this kind of game.
I do really wonder if it's a series, because I only really see people talking about it who are who are fans of the original. Like they've gone through it from the original. Is it a series that is bringing in newcomers, or is it just solely subsisting on the people that have it's got such a chokehold on them that they physically can't let go?
I think it definitely is appealing to the nostalgia crowd, and but they are still like kids games, and the thing that I really like about them is that they capture all of Disney's modern worlds. So
universe.
So the kids growing up now are going to jump into Kingdom Hearts 4, and they're going to get I can't remember what was the name of the most recent animated film, Disney Plus. Encanto. I don't know that for sure. But
I didn't even think about that.
They'll probably get Star Wars. Last time they got Pirates of the Caribbean. There's a bunch. I mean, Disney since 3 have bought every other IP on the face of the earth. So
that's true.
I think we're going to see some cool worlds.
Give me
but I'll watch
Bruno
a trailer and go like,
rats.
"Cool trailer, guys," and then not touch the game because I do not need that in my life.
I see Mike Wazowski. I'm like, Mike Wazowski! That's fun. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, exactly.
It just feels so at odds with the game itself and all these characters we're seeing now. So we'll move on because clearly none of us have an interest. And the only other one was a delay to 2 Point Campus, which is the university follow-up to 2 Point Hospital. That's been delayed until August. It was originally set to come out in May. Now to August, not too far away. And 2 Point Hospital is a great game. So 2 Point Campus, you can, do all your managing of miss your classes and sleep through lectures and eat out of bins and do what kids at uni do or college, right? Eat Baker's Delight out of the dumpsters at the back.
Yeah, but that was before college.
No, that was last week.
Before college.
That was just the other day.
There we go. So that is literally all the video game news that happened this week. There's nothing else you need to know.